Microsoft looks like they were potentially considering shutting down Xbox back in 2021. That's right. You guys heard me correctly. They were considering shutting down Xbox right after they bought those 2018 studios, before they bought Bethesda and ABK. Lot of things to digest into this, man. We're going to go over here to Twitter and talk about this, pretty vertically. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. But first thing, we're going to get this information that we're reading on the screen, because I think it's important for context that we read this. Let's go over here. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. So prepare yourself, guys. Go get you a nice little some popcorn, nice little blanket. Cozy down and let's listen. And keep in mind too, this is one of those scenarios where there are some people that have said this, but a lot of this, I would say, isn't he say, she say stuff, but it is very coincidental. I don't think there's anything like concrete proof besides some of the statements from some of these individuals. So let's pop over here. So the information, they did an interview and they did an article, and they said Microsoft's gaming business fell short despite Activision. The same quotes from the articles, including a tidbit on how Satya was considering shutting down in 2021. In 2021, Microsoft CEO Satya faced a choice involving the company's Xbox and cloud gaming business. The company could either acquire major game studios to drive more subscriptions to its Game Pass subscription service, or it could wind down its gaming business entirely, gnarly two people at the same time. Nyla took the first patch, acquiring Elder Scrolls maker Bethesda Studios for $7 billion in 2021, and the Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard for $75 billion in the fall of 2023. Activision has been disappointing, said Danny Fish, a Janus Henderson investor portfolio manager who oversees two funds that include a total of more than $800 million in Microsoft stock as of November. I think the majority of the game market doesn't want a Game Pass. Like one Microsoft offering, said Gus Zinn, a portfolio manager of whatever science and technology fund. Severe leading game studios have resisted Microsoft's pitch that they could put their games on Game Pass in exchange for fees that Microsoft offers to pay to game studios, according to people familiar with the discussion. Microsoft also hoped the Activision deal would attract developers to rent its Azure services, but Activision was not using it prior to the deal, and it still rents servers from Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services, while primarily relying on its own services for development. According to someone who directly knowledge of the situation and another person briefed on it. That's kind of crazy. We're going to keep going. Before completing the Activision acquisition, Microsoft targeted having over 100 million subscribers by 2023, meaning it would have to triple its current subscriber base in 5 years or grow at a rate of 40% annually, which would be faster than the growth of every year since 2020. Also removed late last year from their reporting process was the reference to Game Pass growth as one of the metrics that determined CEO Satya Nadella's pay package. This came after Microsoft failed to deliver the Game Pass growth targets in the prior 2 years. Xbox financial results for the new quarter will be insightful. We'll finally see how they land on the year-over-year growth, including ABK, instead of comparing it to an Xbox without it. So it's pretty much saying, look, we have ABK. We didn't have ABK last year. So obviously you're going to see a growth when it comes to annually. First thing I want to talk about a little bit when it comes to this is there is a couple things that is quite interesting. First off, when it comes to like the stock investors, obviously they know a lot of people that has a ridiculous amount of money into the Microsoft brand, have a lot of stocks. Clearly, they're going to make the world go round. When it comes to who is investing, who's not investing, that's going to be a key component into this. Now, what I will say is Microsoft also hoped that Activision would attract game developers to rent its cloud servers, but Activision wasn't using Azure prior to the deal. I don't understand how you expect. How do you expect people to use something that they're not using? That doesn't make sense to me. And that's where it comes down to a little bit on, I personally feel, and this is my opinion, whoever is coming up with the expectations to what we're reading here, if this is true, like I said earlier, and I do want to point out, if I didn't say it earlier, because I've made this take like 8 times, this is speculation. You know, we don't know if any of this thing is real. It's like someone said, you know, with direct knowledge of the situation and the person behind it. This entire thing is off what they heard. Now, obviously, I'm tend to believe it. I do believe it. Now, it's crazy to me that someone would expect to sell a service that the actual company they're buying doesn't use. I don't know. Maybe you guys put in the comment section below if that makes sense to you. This, too, is kind of insane, too. Before completing the Activision acquisition, Microsoft targeted over having 100 million Game Pass subscribers by 2030, meaning it would have to triple its current subscribers base in 5 years or grow at a rate of 40% annually, which would be faster in its rate of growth every year since 2020. That's insane. 100 million? Those are like some Netflix numbers. I'm pretty sure Netflix has over 100 million subscribers. Let me double check that while I rant about this. Like the part that blows my mind is like, who's thinking this is gonna work? Like, I don't understand why people amount of subscribers. I don't understand why people realistically think that they were gonna get this many people in Game Pass this fast. Why even invest if that's your metrics? I don't get it, man. So Netflix has 282 million paid subscribers as the third quarter of 2024. So you mean to tell me that they were going to get over 100 million in 5 years when it's took Netflix this long to get that much? I don't know. Here's the thing, too. They have not been very clear in any way, shape, or form on what those Game Pass numbers are for a very long time now. That doesn't necessarily mean good or bad. It just means that, you know, they're not clearly hitting the numbers that they wanted to internally. And that shows that they took the actual incentive for him to push that Game Pass model out. Now, if he's no longer being paid to increase Game Pass growth, to have Game Pass growth as part of his metrics, do you honestly think he's going to push that? No. And keep in mind, when it comes down to this, 2018 Studios. This was around the time, supposedly, that this happened in 2021, was around the time that Psychonauts came out. They had a very good 2021. But even though with Psychonauts, even though with all those games, I'm pretty sure Wasteland 3 came out around that time too, maybe the year before. Even with all these games, these 2018 games, when they were bought, Obsidian, Ninja Theory, Undead Labs, all these game studios had games that was already on other platforms. They weren't exclusive deals. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, but Addict, that doesn't matter. It kind of does. If you're trying to grow Game Pass and something as captivating as Psychonauts came out, maybe it wouldn't have been a console seller, but it would have been a game people would have been interested in picking up, you know, a Game Pass subscription for, if it is not on PC or if it's on Xbox. But the problem is when you're offering it to platforms that don't even have Game Pass, there is zero chance they get into a platform that does have Game Pass. That's just my opinion on the personal matter. And what's crazy is they bought those studios in 2018. Those studios released games. And instead of allowing them to improve on what they made on their own, because essentially Microsoft helped these studios in a lot of ways. I know Wasteland got, newer content. I know Psychonauts was a former game compared to what the actual product we got, and Microsoft allowed them to expand on those ideals and make better games off of what they wanted to do. But it wasn't designed, created from the ground floor for Xbox and for Microsoft with more funding behind it. So you were going to shut down the Xbox division. Now, we don't know what that means. Maybe they were just going to coast the whole Xbox One generation and not have a Series S and X. I don't know. So, they were going to do that without allowing them to make at least attempt to make a better game than they did before. And that's the part that irritates me, is these people having growths and these people that are having expectations in an industry that 9 times out of 10, no one in that company knows gaming at all. I get it. AI's popping. I get it. There's so many industries popping and making all this money. But Microsoft's mindset, and look, maybe that's the way mindset you need a $1 trillion company. I don't know. But you can't assume that just because you invested in something, you're going to make that money. Because we're seeing here now, they invested into stuff just to push a product and not because they wanted their brands to be better. Bethesda. They bought Bethesda. Explain to me how you let something like Redfall happen with Bethesda and you're going to think that's going to improve your brand and help you sell Game Pass subscriptions. I'm willing to bet, and this is just my opinion there's no numbers behind this. I have not done no research. But Game Pass probably has hurt the Xbox division just as much as it's helped it, because back in the day, I remember when they used to go for timed exclusives like Tomb Raider. They used to go for big marketing pushes. They haven't really done that in years because it would cost more money to also get something in Game Pass alongside its marketing push. So essentially what they are doing is really only, and this is not necessarily now, this is back when Game Pass first started, where remember the events, everything in this event's on Game Pass. So why would they market something that can't be in Game Pass and can't be on that event? They didn't really do it a lot. Now obviously that's not everything, but there was a lot of pushing towards Game Pass regardless if it was good for Xbox. What is good for Xbox, the hardware is not necessarily what's good for Game Pass and vice versa. Look, at the end of the day, my big thing with this is every time Microsoft has a way forward with Xbox, and every time Phil Spencer and all of them come up with a good solution that they want to follow through, halfway through it, Xbox puts this giant wrench in the clogs. Cognito from the Iron Lords podcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. used to always say, if they're only doing this to survive, he's cool with the multi-platform approach. And at this point, I gotta agree with him. This is to survive. Should it be to survive? Absolutely not. Not from a company such as Xbox, being owned by a company from something like Microsoft. There should be no conversation about surviving. Now, obviously, every company is made to make money. But I highly doubt that Microsoft, and this is my opinion, did you really think you were going to grow that rapidly, that fast, in that short amount of time just because you spent more money? These things take time. Netflix spent years upon years growing the consumer base, nurturing them to want the product the way they want it. And you wanted that type of results in a fraction of the time. Now, I understand because Netflix paid the role on a lot of subscription-based models, it's easier to jump in there. But this is different than just watching videos and watching Squid Games on Netflix. This is completely different. In my personal opinion, it's like, look, if Xbox eventually goes down in terms of hardware, because to me, all this really says is if they had those expectations back then, those expectations ain't went away. They're still wanting those numbers, and especially when you see Satya no longer getting any kind of pay regarding the growth of Game Pass, means that they no longer see Xbox in the gaming division in general as a pillar of Xbox or a pillar of Microsoft. Now, I could be wrong there, and I hope I'm wrong there, but that's how I see it from the outside looking in. You know, I am worried about the future of Xbox. Do I think that Xbox is going to go away? No, but I am worried about the hardware. I am entirely worried about the hardware because they keep changing their opinions on stuff. They keep changing the direction of the company all the time. And people call me doom and gloom all the time. It's not my fault that Microsoft be doing this stuff. It's not my fault that stuff gets leaked, making them look bad. And everyone only wants to look at the times I did talk about the Xbox platform in a negative way. I literally have made nothing but positive stuff on Xbox the past few videos. No one talks about Addict making those videos. And I get it. People were upset with me, and that's fine. Never going to speak for anyone else. I speak for myself. I am worried about the Xbox hardware. I'm not worried about the games. Because if the hardware went away, they would just become a publisher. This industry needs more people in it. This industry needs more businesses in it. And you should want these companies to flourish. You should want these companies to do better. I'm not particularly excited for PlayStation in terms of how they treat their customers, in terms of some of the business choices they make. But they make good games and they compete. I want Xbox to compete. Clearly, it's probably not going to happen. And I hope they sit down and really have a evaluation on what exactly is realistic. Because I feel like that's the biggest issue here. It's not Xbox not putting in that work and not having the games, because they have the games right now. It's Microsoft having a way above unrealistic expectations that the entire industry probably wouldn't have. No one in the industry would expect 100 million subscribers on anything whatsoever. So it is what it is on that. And I hope they really come down. They really figure something out. Because I love this brand. This brand has been with me for years. I can't wait to play Fable. And at the end of the day, even if Fable comes to PlayStation, it is what it is. You know, I've said from the moment I've stood here, I only speak for myself. I just want the console to be around. And when stuff like this comes out and that means in the matter of 6-7 years, because they were thinking about shutting down Xbox before they did Game Pass, was reported, and I believe that. And now they were thinking about shutting it down after they just invested into 2018 studios, like 5 studios. They didn't really give them enough time to do anything. So what makes you think they ain't going to think that now? That's my whole point with the matter, man. But anyway, I've ranted long enough, and it is what it is. I know some of you going to be upset, and that's fine. Here's the thing. You guys might be okay with just assuming everything's flowers and assuming everything's going to be okay here going forward. I'm not cut from that cloth. I see this as a really bad sign for Xbox, especially Salty not getting any type of pay for the growth of Game Pass. And I'm worried about the brand, worried about the hardware, worried about this. I wouldn't say I'm worried about the overall gaming brand of Xbox. That's going to be fine logistically. Anything I have to go to PC, I guess. I don't want to. And I'm trying to use my platform to tell you, to Xbox, you guys need to sit down and think of something. You guys need to have realistic expectations on stuff. Maybe this third-party stuff will help. I don't know. I hope so. Because clearly things ain't looking good over there. But anyway, put in the comment section below what you guys feel about this. I'm very curious your guys' opinion on the man. This has been a 19, almost 20-minute video. I feel like I'm going to get attacked relentlessly in this chat. Because for some reason, every time I speak negatively, all I do is complain. But that's all I see on the internet is negative signs on the Xbox brand. Anyway, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. I don't like making these videos, guys. I don't. But damn, I got to sometimes.